Welcome to Film Phreeks. This is Justin Llewellyn.
Eddie Williams.
And now we're going to go into more detail of Deadpool 2 with our spoiler discussion of the film. And for those of you who haven't seen the film yet, you are welcome to check out our spoiler-free discussion that we'll post here on the link and also on our channel here. And now we're going to go into more things that we didn't cover in our spoiler-free review. So, Deadpool 2, actually, it takes place a couple years after the first one, and we see that Wade is still doing his thing as Deadpool, where he's killing people as a mercenary and stuff like that. But there's actually one guy in the beginning that he actually doesn't get a chance to kill. And surprisingly, he ends up running away from it, too, afterwards.
Yeah, and that guy plays a big role in killing his wife.
Yeah, because...
his girlfriend.
Yeah, this... because in this story, we deal with Wade wanting to settle down with his girlfriend Vanessa, with wanting to raise a family. And while they're discussing that, they get interrupted by some guys that end up coming to kill him and everything. He ends up killing all of them except for one guy, and he tragically loses Vanessa. And so the whole theme in this film is him trying to basically... he's actually wanting to die so that he can be with Vanessa, because he realized that he doesn't have anything left besides her. And so after he kills the guy and tries to blow himself up in that really hilarious scene where he's laying on top of those barrels.
I like that part because in the beginning of the movie he actually plays it starts off where you see Logan spiked in the chest from Logan.
Yeah, it shows a toy.
He's sitting there and he's like talking shit about like how Logan ended so sad and ending. He goes, I'm gonna do the fucking same thing too, and then he blows up in his middle finger.
Yeah. See, that's one of the things I love about this one too, is I love the referential humor they use to knock in on other films. But in this one, he ends up getting recruited by Colossus from the first film, and he ends up taking him to the X-Men mansion where he wants him to become part of the team. And so,
which, surprising enough, we get cameos from all the people from X-Men.
Yeah,
a quick cameo.
That's what. Yeah, what's funny is Wade is actually asking them like, why are you two the only ones here? And then right behind them, you'll see in the background there's a door open where it shows all the other X-Men in there, and then it shows Beast closing the door.
Yeah, it's actually the real guys. It's got the dude Evan Peters,
James McAvoy.
I can't think of his name. McAvoy. James McAvoy's in it and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you see Beast closing the door right afterwards.
Yeah, and this is the part where basically you got Deadpool riding on Xavier's little wheelchair riding around.
Yeah, and then he starts putting on the helmet on, and he's saying, "Well, it seems like I can see the future on here because I'm about to hear what you're about to say."
Yeah, and then he keeps waiting on him. And then he's like, "Yeah, you were about to say that."
Yeah,
he's fucking around.
But basically,
basically he's you got that. But then you start. This is where like it came out abruptly out of nowhere. We get the Cable coming in, and we see the scene where he's in this kind of apocalyptic world where it looks like it kind of reminds me like Gears of War type world, where it's like everything is like all blowing up and on fire, and you see. Basically, it's Cable's daughter and his wife burned up.
Yeah. Well, also, that future kind of reminded me of the future scenes in X-Men Days of Future Past, with the kind of, like, dark, like, setting and everything.
Yeah. In which he goes into reference, and I think that's what it is about Days of Future Past, because he brings up, later in the movie, that the mutants caused that.
Oh, okay.
So it could be kind of a reference to the Days of Future Past, unannounced.
Yeah. But anyway, basically, the film deals with Deadpool and the team and Colossus and Teenage Warhead. They end up having to save this boy from causing destruction, and his name is his name is Fire Fist, and he's this little this chubby kid who was raised at this orphanage and stuff, and he went through so much. They were abusing him and torturing him and stuff like that. And Wade sees some of the damage that's caused by him and everything, and he decides to, instead of trying to stop him, he ends up wanting to try to kill the guys that were responsible. And he shoots that one dude in the head afterwards.
Which is against the X-Men's protocol.
Yeah, and that's what pretty much...
killing.
Yeah, that's what that's what ends up getting him going to that prison, where pretty much throughout the film he actually can't use his powers because they wear these collars. Both him and the kid wear these collars to where they're restrained from using their mutant powers. And so throughout this entire prison sequence, it shows that Wade's actually dying from cancer again.
Yep.
Which I actually enjoy. I actually enjoy this aspect because it actually shows a lot of the vulnerability of his character, and it shows a lot of the softer side to Deadpool that we didn't really see much in the first one.
Yeah, where he's kind of like he's shown kind of like compassion to a little boy.
Yeah,
and all that. Then it shows where they're kind of, because the prison they're in is like a place for like mutants, and they wear, like he said, they wear the collars, and all the mutants can't use any of their powers. They become humanized.
Yeah.
Again.
Kind of like, if now this is a bad comparison, but it's kind of like what they did with X-Men 3, The Last Stand, where they had the cure for the mutation. It's kind of like that, basically. Yeah. Only instead of it being a cure, it's just a temporarily relief from it.
Uh-huh.
And basically, throughout the prison sequence, he's ended up trying to bond with the kid and stuff like that. And they have that funny scene where he's at the table and shit, and he starts talking shit to the bigger prisoners, and the kid's trying to be, you know, Billy Badass and stuff, trying to pick on the big ones. And then Wade's like, "No, you need to actually join friends with the big guys, not take on them."
Yeah.
You know. Which actually, that will come into play because this actually builds up to something later on to where the kid actually has to make friends.
Yeah, but we'll get to that here in a second. So anyways, we're in this prison scene, and this is where we get Cable is looking for this boy because the destruction that killed his wife and daughter came from the boy when he's in his 40s. And basically Cable traveled back in time to find the boy and kill him.
Yeah.
Before he becomes the way he is. Because they say that boy plays the majorest role in actually the destruction of the world.
Yeah. You could get the idea that it's an alternative version of Days of Future Past from X-Men.
Yes. Yes. And basically Cable goes back in time. He goes and searches for them, finds out they're in the prison. And he breaks in the prison and starts slaughtering all the guards and everything, looking for the boy. And they get into it, or that's where he finds the boy, and he gets into it with him. But then this is where he meets Deadpool for the first time, and Deadpool is standing in his way, and they get into it.
Yeah, and I actually like this whole prison fight because it shows a lot of the brutality that Cable does, especially when he's like fucking with them guards and shit.
Oh yeah, dude! I really enjoyed the prison scene. That was actually one of the few other major highlights I loved about the film. Was the prison scene was one of them, and yeah, man, it got brutal and stuff. And now, I mean, because of the scene, the boy overhears Deadpool kind of pretty much hinting he doesn't give a shit about the boy, and the boy ends up feeling betrayed, and he goes and tries to. What you later find out is the Juggernaut. He ends up trying to befriend the Juggernaut and help him go back to his orphanage and kill everybody.
Yeah, and if you remember from X-Men 3, the Juggernaut was in that film as well, and he's this guy who has like this big circular helmet that's like metal helmet that's on him, and he's a really big dude. Only he's twice the size than he was in X-Men 3. Well, since now it's a alternative version.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get to him later. But the basically, because Wade feels like he got defeated by Cable, he realizes that the only way he's going to be able to stop Cable from getting to the boy is by having to create his own team. And that's where we get that funny scene where he's recruiting new members and stuff. And he's getting like all the people that are coming on there. And one of them doesn't even show up, and he's like invisible and stuff. And he's called... what's it called? What's his name?
I forgot the name of him. He's like the Invincible or some name in that, which is funny because that's actually played by Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
and people don't realize it. You get like 1, 2, like a millisecond scene where you see Brad Pitt's face, and we'll get to that scene in a second. But basically, yeah, he's recruiting all these people. We get Bill Skarsgård, who's famously known for Pennywise. He's in it. He's playing some guy. I don't really understand his powers because this is where we get kind of our Mycon, where we don't really fucking know. Other than Domino, I really don't know what anybody does.
Yeah, because we get introduced to Terry Crews, who is like, I forgot his powers, but you get him. Then you got that one guy that's like a or that Japanese guy or something.
Japanese guy, yeah, which actually I've been told is a big deal in the comic books.
Yeah.
The first live action of that, and a lot of people were happy, but I think they won't be happy how quick these guys went.
Yeah.
I mean, when we're getting introduced, I kid you not, 3 minutes later they all die.
Yeah, because and they even get this one guy who was just a regular guy off the street, and his name is Peter, and he was actually
basically, he's pretty much the comic relief.
Yeah, and he was actually pretty funny because he would be, because he's just like, I just saw the resume and I decided to take it.
And they're like, you're hired.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to do fucking shit.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is like, he kind of reminds me of Flanders.
Yeah, he kind of looked like him.
Yeah. Yeah, he looks like Flanders. And it's funny because that scene where he actually gives his resume picture is like what he looks like, and he looks nothing like the picture. He looks like some like really like supposedly some buff handsome guy and stuff. and that's where Deadpool's like, you catfish me?
Yeah. And then basically we set it up to where they're on the plane and everything, and they're about to go and do this mission, and that's when they officially call themselves the X-Force, and they actually play a pretty kick-ass song. They're playing AC/DC's Thunderstruck while they're doing it.
Yep.
And when
the music choices in this film is actually, some of it just doesn't you wouldn't, but that's the part of it. It was some of the music not fitting with the movie, like that one song. It goes, "I lost without you." I forgot the name of that song. It's just some of the songs, they don't work with they're not meant to be part of the film because they're so fun, but they're catchy. They are catchy.
That's what I'm saying. And basically when they get down there, they end up crashing into stuff and everything where they get killed off one by one. Literally right after jumping.
Fuck away, which is cool looking, but it's funny because how unorganized this group is.
Yeah, that's pretty much the joke of it, which I actually thought was funny. And then you get that quick shot where it shows the invisible guy going down. He reaches power lines, and it turns out to be Brad Pitt. Yeah, and then the only one who really survives is just Domino and then they get to that one part on the convoy where they're having to get all where the prisoners are in, and we get that really cool fight scene where Domino's fighting Cable and all that, and then we see that funny joke that Deadpool does where he calls him One-Eyed Willie from Goonies.
Yeah. Now this scene where they're in there and they're actually breaking the kid out. This is why the X-Force was made. They had to break this kid out because they know Cable's going to kill him. And they get in this big fight where it's Domino, Deadpool, and Cable. And this, on this part where they're the truck is slowly crashing, I actually thought that was pretty cool looking.
Yeah, I did too. And I enjoy the the parts where he's talking shit to him the whole time, and then he pushes him out and everything. And that's also where we get, after they break out, we get introduced to Juggernaut afterwards.
Yep.
Where Juggernaut finally makes his appearance and everything, and that's when the kid ends up running off with them to go back to the orphanage to kill that one guy. And then basically, after all men's meet, Wade actually ends up. Look, here's the funny part: was when he sees Juggernaut, he tries to talk sense to him, and then Juggernaut breaks him in half, and then
rips him in half.
Yeah,
and then this is where it gets real funny.
And this is where they end up going back.
So basically, you get Deadpool pretty much defeated again, and Cable's pretty hurt, and you get Deadpool where he goes back to some of the old cast that we saw from the first movie, like you had the blind black woman who's really hilarious, and pretty much kind of like his mother figure, and then you go throughout, you get the bar dude again, and then we didn't really mention him because he doesn't really play. It's weird because he plays somewhat of a role, but he doesn't really, he's in the beginning, then you don't see him towards the end. You have his little Indian friend.
Yeah, the taxi driver.
House, and that's where we see Deadpool growing baby legs. It's fucking hilarious.
It was. And then we see that and pretty much Cable has to work with Deadpool afterwards because they realize that because if they don't stop the kid, that it's going to prevent the world from being destroyed and everything.
Yeah, well, Cable gets to a point where he kind of really can't handle Juggernaut on his own. So he shows up to that blind black woman's apartment where they were all talking, and they pretty much make this deal where he's like, I need you to help me stop the kid and stop Juggernaut because I can't handle him alone. And basically, this is where we get kind of like an anti-hero Cable where he actually joins forces.
Yeah, which I actually enjoyed that part. And then we have it to where, by all means, they have to also recruit the other They have to go work with the other X-Men. They have to work with Colossus and Teenage Warhead and her girlfriend. And then they have their final showdown where they're doing the whole slow motion thing where even the Indian dudes like walking in slow motion and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did. And I also like the, I can't think of the movie. It was played by John Cusack, I think.
Say Anything.
In the movie. It was from the 80s. And they keep doing the whole radio thing.
Say Anything.
It
was that movie.
And he's sitting there trying to get, because he's like, him and that silver dude kind of had like a little breakup. And he's like trying to beg him back, and he finally comes in at the end, and they do like this thing where he's like making sexual references to each other.
Yeah.
And he's doing like where you do like the things with your fingers, like hinting gayness or something. I don't know. It's a hinting something like they want to do each other.
Yeah.
Like it's funny as hell. But what's funny is we left out another hilarious part. We actually see him reenact the thing where he put his ass and dick on Cable's face.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like he did in the trailer with his action figures, but he actually did that scene.
Yeah.
When the truck was crashing, he put his he teabags Cables. What he did.
Yeah. And then we have our final showdown where he's trying to, because the boy's trying to kill the guy of the orphanage. And trying to burn him alive and stuff, and then we get that.
Well, what they said, what they're afraid of, they didn't really care for the orphanage guy because he kind of deserves to die. But they're afraid because when he does get the taste of blood of killing that guy, he ends up actually killing the kids, and that's what they wanted to prevent.
Yeah, and they have to try to stop him, and so we have that cool fight scene that takes place where Juggernaut is actually fighting Colossus, and they're going back and forth and shit. And we also get that cool scene where the girl and her girlfriend end up coming down there to try to fight him, and she uses her electric whip or whatever to pull down the dude's pants and then pushes him in the water.
Yeah, where they stuck a thing up his ass and he.
Yeah, that shit was fun. Yeah. But it all pretty much boils down to when they finally confront the kid, Wade realizes the only best way to do it is to talk it off. So he tries to talk it off, but it don't work to no avail because the kid says that nobody cares about him and he don't trust anybody.
Cable tries to pull some sneaky shit by still trying to kill the kid.
Yeah, and so he shoots a bullet, and that's basically where Wade sacrificed himself for the kid. And we didn't talk about this before, but throughout also the film, Wade is also seeing visions of his girlfriend, like in the afterlife, and he's trying to get to her and everything, but she tells him that he can't die, and the only thing that could bring them together would be a child, basically. And so that's what really motivated him to try to connect with the boy, which I really liked. And we get this really emotional scene where Deadpool actually puts on the collar and then gets shot by Cable when he takes the bullet for him when he's trying to protect the kid. So
he can actually die, which is funny because like there's this like long drawn out scene where he thinks he's dying and he's like, no, that was just the sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah,
He takes forever to die, and then he finally dies, and that's where he actually officially can talk to her. Because the other sequences where he does die, and he sees her, he can't connect her. He can't connect to her because he technically can't die. He's just out of her temporarily. But this one, he actually dies, and he's able to talk to her. And this is where we get Ryan Reynolds back to his old self before he got burned.
Yeah, which I thought this is one of his most like great like serious performances that I see him do in a while. Like in this part, like I thought he really nailed the emotion out of that.
Yeah, it was really good. I like that scene.
Yeah, and then after he pretty much dies, we get that scene where Cable, because he was originally going to go back in time, but throughout the film he says that he only has one way to go home, and that's by using the time thing. And he uses that time watch or whatever to try to go back in time to the point where Deadpool was still alive, and he gives him that token that he gave Vanessa, and when everything, and then the movie actually literally fast forwards to the point where he gets shot, but the bullet actually grazes on the token.
Which is actually a really good scene because Cable actually uses his last energy, which would have got him back to his family again. Instead, he decides, okay, they're safe. I will meet them in time, and when the time is right, and be with my wife and kid again. So he uses his last portal that could have got him back to his wife and kid in the future. He uses it to save Deadpool instead.
Yeah, and they even joke about that where he's like, it's like, you did it for me, didn't you? It's like, no, I didn't.
Yeah, he's like, come on, I love that.
Yeah. But
that was great.
And then,
but basically, pretty much, they got the boy. They talked the boy out of it, and the future changes.
Yeah, and they're able to go on.
What would have done? So,
and they even kill that one.
That's pretty much it.
And they even get to that. And after they're walking away, there's that guy who was running the orphanage is still alive, and he gets ran over by the taxi driver right afterwards.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and then pretty much.
Which I heard. I did hear that. Technically, what they were going to, unfortunately, because if you guys remember last year, Stan Lee went through a lot of health issues. That scene was actually supposed to be Stan Lee running him over.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was actually supposed to be Stan Lee doing it, but Stan Lee ended up in the hospital and could not come in as a cameo. Which, if you, like I said, this is one of the few times recently that Stan Lee hasn't been in the movies.
Yeah, he was in the first one, but because of health issues, he couldn't be in this one.
Yeah, and he was actually going to be that scene where he killed that guy.
Yeah. But, yeah, it pretty much ends where they end up, like, literally becoming a family of their own. And they work together in the end. And we also get that really funny end credits where it shows in the middle of the credits, we see that Deadpool wants to use wants to get the time portal repaired. And so he gets the teenage warhead and her girlfriend to fix it for him, and you told me about this one. Apparently there was.
I'll go into this detail. So basically, after he uses it to kind of get, I guess, his girl back or something. I can't remember in that.
Yeah, it was to go back.
But then later on in the credits, if you stay it again, he goes and actually makes satire, making fun of, like, if you guys remember. The one that a lot of us did not like with him playing Deadpool was the one in the Wolverine where he didn't have his mouth.
X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Deadpool comes in this scene and he actually shoots that Deadpool and he apologizes to Logan.
Yeah.
And then he actually goes into real life and he kills Ryan Reynolds signing the contract to be in Green Lantern.
Yeah.
It shows Ryan Reynolds reading the Green Lantern about to sign on project and sign, yes, I'll be in this movie, and he gets shot in the head. See, I can't believe see that piece of shit film.
Yeah. See, I can't believe I missed that in the theater, man, because I didn't know there was going to be an extra scene afterwards, because I left in the middle of the credits.
Yeah, this is one of those Marvel films that did more than one post-credit scene, and usually you get confused to know, like, kind of like, how long should I sit? Because you did see another one, like the one earlier prior, and you thought that was the last one. Then I tempted to get up, and somebody overheard somebody said that there was one more, and I sat back down, and that's where I watched that last one.
Oh, I think that's when we watched Black Panther, was when we went to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, overall, though, I can say, like we discussed in our other review, like, this was a blast of a film. Like, this was everything the first one did right, but they upped the ante this time. And while the humor is still better, I think, in the first film, they did up a lot more of the action and the story elements to the point that I consider it, like, a good sequel that's as good or even better than that's slightly better than the first one for me. So,
exactly. Like he stated, I'm the same way. first one has beats it with comedy, because I thought the first one consistently had the comedy good from beginning to end, versus this one, it took into the middle and the last half for the comedy to really get good. The first one was really hit and miss.
Yeah.
The first part of the part 2 of this movie, the first half was really kind of hard to stick with on some of the comedy. It was like, it felt like they were pushing, and it just wasn't clicking. They were trying to be too funny. Like, they're trying hard, and it wasn't, when you try hard, you have a tendency to make really bad lines. And that's what they did in the kind of like the beginning of the movie, but they fixed it in the middle and last half.
Yeah, and so I overall I do highly recommend Deadpool 2. I mean, it's got some issues like we said in our spoiler-free review, but overall I think that
like, like as far as just not really going in more detail, my pros, great shots, you had great chemistry, great everybody's performance was, A+, the music was good. Cons, like I said, the jokes were hit and missed. I would say that there was some editing issues on some of these scenes. Some of them just didn't, some of the scenes were really edited kind of not really good. And then some of, like, X-Force was kind of really pointless, even though it was funny. I do want to mention that it is so quick, it makes you question why were they in this film.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But other than that, that was pretty much. You want to see more on our detail on our cons and pros, go to our spoiler free. We go into more detail. Yeah,
but with that being said, I once again am going to give the film a low phenomenal grade on the Film Phreeks meter.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a high B compelling grade. If it would have maybe fixed some things, then it could have gotten a low A. But because I did mention even though the movie is great, the movie was really fun. I can't wait to buy it. I did have quite a few cons, like minor cons or whatever, that kind of took off some points. So, but yeah, it's still a great movie though.
Fair enough. Well, for those of you who have also seen Deadpool 2 and Deadpool 1 and also read some of the comics, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel and check out some more of our reviews here at our channel. And also at our website at filmphreeks.com. And we'll be seeing you on our next review. We'll see you later.
All right, later.